There's a saying that goes, separate art from the artist, which basically means the artist could be the biggest asshole on the planet. He could be the biggest war criminal on the planet. He could be the biggest scumbag to ever walk this floating rock. It doesn't really matter as long as the art he's putting out there, whether it be a song, whether it be a piece of fiction or an actual artwork, as long as that art is beautiful, it's captivating, it's emotional, whatever positive attribute you might add to it, as long as the art is greatness, you are supposed to separate the greatness from the scumbagginess of said artist. And trust me, there are a lot of famous artists that you know that are scumbags privately. Not that I talk to them, but the Epstein files speak for themselves, okay? What you have to keep in mind whenever you make the decision of separating art from the artist is that you make that choice deliberately. Just like the artist made the choice of being a bad human being deliberately. You don't just happen to be a bad human being, okay? You don't just happen to be a war criminal. You have to make certain life decisions and certain choices in order for people to label you as a bad human being. So whatever the artist is doing privately, he made that choice deliberately. Just like I said like 1,000 times already. And you too made the choice for yourself. You want to support a scumbag? Go support a scumbag. It's up to you. I don't give a fuck. However, there is a far bigger issue at play here. A problem that we should rather focus on. Forget about separating art from the artist. How about we start separating the artist from the fan bases? Because a fan base is something an artist cannot control. When you have millions of fans all around the globe, you cannot track down every single fan and tell him, yo, don't act this way in my name. You cannot control millions of people, even thousands of people, even like hundreds of people. You cannot control every single motherfucker that likes the art you're putting out there, okay? Instead of focusing on separating art from the artist, we should definitely start focusing on separating the fan bases from the artist. The very first time I felt the necessity to talk about this issue is when I had a One Piece Theory channel 10 years ago. I was so fucking ashamed of anybody ever finding out that I have a One Piece Theory channel. Do you know how humiliating it was to publicly admit that you liked anime 10 years ago? And you might ask yourself, why? Why the fuck were you afraid of admitting that you have a One Piece Theory channel? I can tell you why. The anime fan base online back in the day, primarily, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat this one, consisted of weirdos. The ones that buy these 3D anime mouse pads. The ones that buy these life-sized anime pillows, waifu pillows. These were the motherfuckers that represented the anime community online. They were so omnipresent. Whenever you publicly stated that you liked anime, this is how people started viewing you, as a weird guy who is heavily obsessed with fictional girls. Super devastating. And I was not gonna be one of them, okay? So you might ask yourself, why did you feel the need to talk about this issue 10 years later? I can tell you why. Just like always, I was laying on my couch and I was scrolling through TikTok and I was scrolling through Instagram. And as I was scrolling through these two apps, I noticed something. Just like always, I always notice shit, right? I noticed that there is a fan base of an artist accumulating on my For You page, okay? The artist in question is the artist called SD Kid. SD Kid is a rapper from the UK, a Scouse rapper who is taking over the rap game right now. He is quite literally everywhere. And every single edit and every single football edit, every single basketball edit, every single anime edit, you name it, it's SD Kid. And just like a couple of weeks ago, he was considered to be an underground artist, which is crazy. Right now, he is taking over the internet. And currently, there is a clash between the Day One fans. I feel so ashamed of saying this. I should be having a family right now. I'm sorry, mom. There is a clash between the Day One fans and the new gen fans, the ones that recently discovered SD Kid through TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, I definitely understand the point that Day One fans have. There is a reason why an artist is an underground artist, right? Why an artist is considered niche. If you are a niche artist, you attract a niche fan base, right? But the problem arises when you start going global, when you start going international, when you start hitting the mainstream area, when everybody starts fucking with your shit, right? So now these Day One SD Kid fans are pissed at the corny fans that just discovered SD Kid's music and are slowly starting to turn his reputation from this mysterious, mythical, underground Scouse rapper into being a full-blown cornball. I mean, just look at some of these edits, bro. This is exactly what I mean when I say separate art from the artist, because SD Kid, he is fire. I like his music. His music is tough. I really fuck with SD Kid's music. There's nothing bad that I can say about his music. Also, the way he's carrying himself, the mysterious gimmick. He is executing the mysterious gimmick perfectly. He's not even showing his face. But this is exactly why I say separate art from the artist. If I would just go by the fans on my For You page, I would have never checked out his catalog. I would have never dived deep into his music. An artist's biggest enemy is his own fan base. You cannot put it any other way. The same thing that is happening with SD Kid currently already happened to XXXTentacion in the past. XXXTentacion, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says, he was such a great artist. He was so versatile. The way he could just switch from screaming his lungs out to going down this emotional route and talking about his feelings. He was a great fucking artist. Unfortunately, he passed away way too early, but the biggest damage was done by his very own fan base. All these kids that just went through their first heartbreak, slowly started hitting puberty, took his music as an outlet, the feelings he poured into those songs, and made it their own. And trust me, the things that these kids have done to X's reputation is sending shivers down my spine. Whenever you publicly state that you like XXXTentacion's music in the big 2025, people look at you weird, bro. Especially as a grown man. Are you a late bloomer, bro? Why the fuck are you listening to this childish bullshit, to this wannabe depressed bullshit? And I cannot blame them whatsoever, because people are not separating the fan base from the artists. If you just look at XXXTentacion's fan base, no shit you never want to check out his catalog. No shit you don't want to actually listen to the words this man was saying. It's because all the art that he put out there is overshadowed by the narrative these wannabe depressed kids put out there. And it's not only about rappers. You can apply this rule to quite literally everything. Another time I heavily felt the necessity to talk about this issue is when this winter arc trend started trending on social media. Listen, I love going to the gym. I love working out. I love calisthenics. I love going for a run. Everything that has at least something to do with sports, I love. Doesn't matter if it's basketball, football, American football, volleyball, whatever it might be, I like it. And I really like the fact that more and more people start working out. They start caring about the way they carry themselves. They start worrying about the way they look. They just trying to be healthy. I really like that. What I absolutely hate though is when you discover something and you make it your whole entire personality. Just like these SD Kid fans, just like the XXXTentacion kids, just like the anime weeps, and just like the winter arc weirdos, bro. The gym is not your whole entire personality, bro. Whenever you talk to people like that, whenever you talk to people that make everything they just discovered their whole entire personality, the only thing they will talk about is the very same thing they just discovered. Whenever you talk to a winter arc soldier, the only thing they talk about is white monster energy and hitting your protein goal and calories and lean bulk and dirty bulk. Shut the fuck up, bro. It's enough. There is so much more to talk about. Can you please shut the fuck up, bro? SD Kid is not the only artist. Playboi Carti is not the only artist. XXXTentacion is not the only artist. Can you please shut the fuck up, bro? It is so fucking annoying. That's why I say, forget about separating art from the artist. Start separating the artist from the fan base. Thank you.
Very angry while trying to strangle my balls. Wipe my ass with some butter while scraping shit on the wall. But honestly, overall, I like popping an out of wall while dancing a bone, clapping a pansy in overalls.